All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the agenda in front of us. I just want to make some changes for move the consent agenda item number 6 to action item number 6. There's been some confusion back and forth on that. I just need to get clarification on that. So, is there anything else that people would like to? Any additions or corrections?
I move to accept the agenda with that change.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approve the minutes from the previous board meeting, March 26, 2024. Everybody's had a chance to look at that. Is there any additions or corrections? Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes as written. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we'll move on to public comment. Nobody on screen, nobody in the audience. So, if there is none, we'll move on to appointments. Polly's got the cash and investments that was sent to us in the packet. She doesn't want to dwell on it too much, but because Sam needs to get on with his stuff here. So is there any question could answer for you on that?
And the thing you can notice is when you look at the investment listing, you can tell the old investments that are at 1% and the new investments that are at 5%.
No, that's exactly right. And my goal going forward, commissioners, would be to share this report twice a year, as of June 30th and as of December 31st. I think that'll just make it easier to compare as we move on. And but anyway, yeah, the last time the report was run was the end of February in 23. So in 10 months, the total investments, the CDs, bonds, and liquid money market is up $1 million to $1.5 million. And at the end of the year, the total balance came in at $13,701,812. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to look into those for you.
I think that's a good idea to Polly to look at that twice a year. It'd be a good idea.
Sure.
So is there any further questions or comments on the investment report, cash report?
Nope.
Okay, if not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have consent items number 1 through 5, and then 7 and 8. On item number 7, is there exit interview for that this test here?
She was just up wrong.
Pardon me?
For consent item number 7, is there going to be an exit interview for Storm Davis?
If he requests one,
Has he requested one?
not to the best of my knowledge, he has not requested an exit interview.
And he hasn't said anything.
He will get the, he'll be he'll be notified of his opportunity to provide both written comments which go to the board chair first and then come back to HR for his file. And if he wishes to have an exit interview, he may do so with either my office or the board chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, is there, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Consent agenda approved. Move on to action item number 1, consider request for approval and funding of for a Houston County resident currently in felony probation to attend Winona County Treatment Court. Attorney on.
It's an individual, I think it's a good problem to have. You have to have very select and very high needs regarding probation to be allowed to enter drug court. And this is the first person we've had since drug courts existed that actually met the criteria to get into it. I am not prosecuting the matter because I have a conflict. I represented him years ago. But this is one of those cases that it's, as Assistant County Attorney Bubitz indicates in her email, it's high supervision, high contact with the agents on this type of stuff. And there is a very good success rate on this, but there's a lot of work for the individual in this. It would be much easier to go to prison or just be on regular probation in some ways because you're not subject to all the testing and meetings. But this person has made the commitment they want to do it, want to go get better in their life, and not specific to this person, but it's just not fixing this person. This has impacts on their family. It has impacts on the children that they have. And just, I think if you would look at, and I don't wish you would do this, but look at through the just purely financial lens on this, and this is a small cost if we could fix this person and get him to not use drugs and alcohol or use controlled substances to the cost it is to the county over the years to deal with certain issues. So, but again, it's a chance to see if somebody can, they're just an opportunity for them. And if they're not able to take this opportunity, it's very likely they'll go to prison. And so, but they have, it's very structured, very intense. But there is a pretty good success rate on this. And it's just, again, with this person here, it is hope that they can succeed.
So there's just a one-time.
One-time thing. This is what this is.
Specific, yep.
Yes, to even be, my understanding is preliminarily he is screened that he would qualify, but for them to actually take the next steps and qualify him, they have to see the financial commitment from us. And if he wouldn't meet it, then we wouldn't have that commitment, but it would be just this one individual. Again, we've had other people that have went to other courts from Houston County, but nothing that, but they usually have something from the other county, something in Homestead or Wabasha or even Winona. But this is somebody who's solely a Houston County probationary person that would get into the Winona County Drug.
So that's why you're in front of us today
Yeah.
to get our commitment to
Yes,
start this process.
Yes.
So at any time, this enrollee can get out of this too, or?
well, he could, if he would, it's part of his sentence would be, has to follow through with all the terms and conditions of drug court. And if he wouldn't, then we'd be back for probation. And then certainly the judge makes these decisions, not me.
Yeah.
But I think it would be our office's recommendation at that point, unless there's some circumstance that I'm not aware of, that he would go to prison.
So besides the initial cost, are there other expenses that the county has to bear? I mean, does the individual drive themselves to Winona and back for all the
Yes.
different meetings? Or do
Yeah.
we have to provide transportation?
Well, and I would answer that in two different ways. Yes, that would be their cost to go back and forth. But I know there hasn't been discussion and there's positives and negatives to it. Because of obviously the known distance there, that if someone is indigent and couldn't make that there is some, my understanding, a commitment from the Department of Corrections that they could meet via Zoom in the agent's office. The agent would test them and be there, and that they could appear from the agent's office here in Houston County if necessary.
Thank you.
When he goes to this treatment court,
Can he walk out of there anytime, or is he committed? If he's in there, he's got to stay.
Well, let's use this for an example. Let's say they have to meet every Monday, and I don't know if they do, but if they had to meet every Monday. If he's not there, it's a condition of his rules of probation that he's got to be there. And if for some reason, and I don't know all the drug court rules, but if he's going to violate their rules, we'll receive a notice of that he has been removed from drug court because there's an actual judge that's there and there's a prosecutor that's there. And if he doesn't participate in the rules, then he would have a probation violation, and he would have to explain to the court why he hasn't followed his terms of probation, and then the judge would resentence him. And one of the resentencing options would be to place him back on probation with additional conditions, or to send him to prison.
Is this cost borne by the county only, or is there any cost to the individual?
It's just to the county at this point. That's my understanding. It's to the county.
So if he skips the country after 2 days, we're out the money.
Well, I don't know if the answer to that would be is that, and I don't think, and I don't want to get into specifics here, but I don't really think that's an issue for this person, that he is always around here. That's never been. He may go to Iowa. South of the border, maybe to Iowa, but that would be as far as he would go.
We can get him in Naughty Pine.
So it's your recommendation that we approve this?
And it's, yes, that would be my recommendation. And this is the first time, and we would have a person in the program. I know all about the program, know the people who are in the program, who run the program, the judges that are in there. And I know the success rate, all of that. This is the first time we've ever had someone from Houston County ever participate in the Winona County one. And we just don't have a lot of persons at a felony level, a need here, but at a lower level, they have certain courts that would take you at a lower level. We may have more need there, but at this point, for a felony level person, this is just a unique person that happens to fit all the criteria.
How long is the program?
I think, and I can't, off the top of my head, it's going to be basically as long as probation would last, or they need it. And probation can be extended if you do not have complete programming done. But in this individual, where he's going to get sentenced as part of this, I would think he could, in theory, be on this for up to 5 years.
Would 35 would be in.
And frankly, I don't have an answer to that. I know it would be. I'm not sure if I have the answer to that.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
What does this treatment cost something like this?
The cost, it's outlined in the packet there. It's $3,500 approximately or I think it's in here. I've got it in here.
3690, isn't it? Or no,
It depends what it depends as far as certain issues, as far as, I think that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, there's a range. There's a 3150.
Yeah.
36.
Yeah, that's depending on the
That's
amount of,
3,600.
yeah, that would be a worst case top of the line figure. Yeah.
So does that come out of your budget, Sam, or is that just?
No, I mean, and this is not saying that I suppose you could in the end, if you wanted to. I don't know where it would come from. It's not something we'd ever planned for. We never had.
You never budgeted for it.
Ever, because we'd never had, I've been doing this job and what I'm doing now, been here since October of 2004, and we've never had someone that would qualify. So that's why I would have never budgeted.
Well, the 3,500 is still have to come out of the county attorney's budget. I mean, where else would it come from?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I don't know where else you'd apply it.
and that's fine. And like I said, at some point here, I can address that issue, but whatever the board feels is fine.
Any further questions, comments? Is there a motion to consider this request for approval and funding?
I feel it's advantageous to the individual, to the family, and ultimately to the county, so I move to approve.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Action item number 2, consider accepting grant funding if awarded to finance the certifying 60 section corners and quarter corners in Spring Grove, Wilmington, Black Hammer, Caledonia Township before March 31st, 2026, and adopting resolution number 24-10. Surveyor Schmidt, what you got?
I'm applying for a grant through the state to have money to hire a private surveyor to help us work on remonumenting section corners and quarter corners in those 4 townships. Those are probably some of the area that has maybe the least information on some of those corners. We've got about somewhere in the mid 300s left, but many of those 300 are partially completed. A lot of these are not started at all. I can't see any downside to accepting this state money. We're figuring about, I think about $1,500 a corner. It's 108 divided by 60. Not a math guy, I'm a surveyor.
I got my calculator.
Yeah, it's 1,800 per corner, and that will partially go to consultant, partially go to cover my additional time in this matter, and potentially any excavating we do from the highway department. Do you have any questions?
So you hire a private surveyor to assist with this, you oversee it? Or
Yes.
you review and approve what they're
Yes.
doing?
And then I'll double check the coordinates that they place on the monuments that they'll set. Make sure that they're measuring to the standards required by this program.
They're setting monuments, they're just not marking a tree.
Correct.
Do you know where most of these are already, or?
No,
That's why you need to do it.
yeah,
I know where a
This is the
couple
part of the county that needs,
these are the biggest gaps where we don't have any information.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit less than half of these have some type of information. The other half are kind of wide open. We don't have as many wide open ones elsewhere in the county.
so this would be a good grant to get a hold of to help
Oh, absolutely. And
figure
the
this out.
surveyors are working to get this grant reapproved next year for additional funding. And hopefully after about 4 rounds of this, we could have Houston County completely certified. So that's monuments in the ground and a document prepared and recorded at some time between Dick starting this process in 1985 and whenever we can complete this remonumentation program.
Takes a long time, doesn't it? Apparently.
Goodness gracious, it does.
Yeah.
But once you're done with this area as an example, does the landowner have an opportunity to just say, well, mine's over here, this is wrong.
They can say whatever they want to say.
It is what it is then.
So the difference between a county surveyor doing this and a private surveyor, so this would be fall under the county surveyor because I would be reviewing this process. These corners will be viewed as prima facie evidence of the location of the government corners in the eyes of the court. So these section corner certificates can be viewed and used without scrutiny on the front end. If this process is done by a private surveyor and they don't necessarily prepare the certificates, or if they do prepare the certificates, they have to, their validity and their methodology of setting these corners has to be proven before the court will accept their use. Sometimes we won't find ourselves moving corners that were previously established. Probably the most likely scenario for that to happen is in the 4 sides of a section. If we set one of the corners of that section by whatever method that is found to be faulty later, the midpoints of that square mile, those locations will be set lost oftentimes, which means they're set halfway between the northeast corner and the southeast corner of the section. If we find that the northeast corner needs to be moved, that may affect the corner a half mile south. No, I got that.
Corners that you put in are just a big metal pipe that you pound down.
Yep, and they have, we'll do 25 or 30 inches depending on what kind of terrain we're in. If it's in a gravel road, it'll have a cast iron kind of hourglass in the middle of it. So if it gets hit with a road grader, it'll break off and that bottom stays put. And there's a 4x4-inch steel plate welded on the bottom of this 30 or 25-inch pipe. Really keeps them pretty stable. Just for on side.
Something that can be pulled out easily
Nope,
across the side. Okay. Thank you.
they get tipping in the woods after, if they're on a side hill after 20 years. We go out and we straighten them up.
You know, some you can't even see.
Some you can't see. If it's in a cultivated field, we like to bury it 2 or 3 feet down to keep it out the plow line.
That way, you know, one in Wilmington, that's Myrie Farm, the old wounded. Can't think of his name now, but there's one there right in his driveway.
So you're basically asking us to approve the resolution, which is applying for this grant.
If we, if we're awarded the money, this resolution would accept it.
Right. Yep. Of 108,000.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think their goal is to have the approvals in about 2 weeks,
Okay.
3 weeks from now. $9.1 million are available and they received letters of intent totaling about 16 million. I applied for, I think, a reasonable amount of work that I can review in the 2-year period. I think other counties may have asked for maybe less reasonable figures.
This will help take care of some of those issues when a private surveyor is setting a line for setbacks and all this stuff. We've had some of those issues come in. So once these are accredited or certified posts, as you said earlier, prima facie says that this is indeed the post, not your post over there.
It'll be a lot quicker for private surveyors to do their work. And constituents won't be held up by trying to determine where a corner is.
Yep.
Sometimes that can be the,
It'll help the people.
The
yeah.
more established corners we can have, the better in the county.
It'll
And
help with sales,
what's that?
it'll help with the sales, land sales, for finding spots.
Maybe, I think what it might do from like a zoning or sale perspective is if these corners are in place and somebody calls a private surveyor and says, can I split this property? And if the corners are in they're gonna get a lower price for having a split type of survey. And it'll be able to be done more quickly than if these corners have to be established. That will potentially allow for more meets and bounds splits to happen. That's irregular shaped parcels around woods. And I think it'll allow for a better use of the development of Houston County. Rather than splitting with just by 40s or the east half of the 40. Which is limiting. The bluffs didn't get put in and installed according to the section corner lines. Our topography doesn't always coincide with where those existing lines are. So drawing new irregular lines, I think is a good thing for us.
Well, I'll make a motion to grant the funding, accepting the grant funding.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? And this is a motion to
Move accept the grant funding.
and approve the resolution 2410. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Action item number 3, consider passing resolution number 2411, authorizing Mark Olson, Houston County Emergency Management Director, to sign and execute grant agreement.
Morning, Commissioners. Annual grant agreement with the state of Minnesota Homeland Security Emergency Management grant program that comes funneled through FEMA. As you can see, it's a 2022 grant, so they're a little bit behind. The original agreement is for $22,968 with a match of that same amount, which can be offset by my salary and or departmental expenses, which we've already submitted. So the request for the resolution is just for me to be a signer for this grant to be able to accept those funds and use them.
Okay,
This is an annual grant that we have to approve every year, right?
Correct.
Move to approve.
is there a sec? Greg, you seconded?
Yep.
Motion's been made and second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, action item number 4, consider approving updated 2024 board meeting schedule. Allison. So, go ahead.
The updated schedule is in the packet, it will be posted on the website after it's approved. We'll be doing work group sessions the second week of the month. It will be a regular meeting the third week of the month. For the rest of the year.
How will that work, Allison, when they go up to the cities for the AMC convention? We
So,
usually skip a week, then we do.
yes, skip the second week, so we'll be skipping the work group. But that actually didn't affect that part of the schedule because we were gonna do 3 regular meetings anyway, just in case, and not have a work group session,
Right.
so
Worked out.
it worked out.
This is all necessary in order to accommodate what the auditors were wanting us to do.
To approve claims,
For claims.
which falls on the third week would be better. Is there a motion to approve the new board meeting schedule?
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Board meeting schedule has been changed. Approved. Action item number 5, consider approving payments. You've seen the payments posted here on the packet. Totaling $253,070.80 and 80 cents. So is there a motion to approve of those?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
This will be in lieu, in addition to our deal on the 3rd Tuesday of the month now? This,
The move to the 3rd Tuesday of the month is to accommodate. We will still be having claims paid. On the weeks that there are board meetings. Changing from the 2nd to the 3rd accommodates the public health and human services because they were on that schedule. And it's a lot for them to get all of their documentation in place for paying claims. So to move that up to the 2nd week when you had your normal meeting to approve those claims
Would be different.
just really didn't make much sense.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, so, and we're still working on the format that we need to have. And how we need to do that, and at some point, this would probably become consent agenda because you do get the copies of the itemized claims.
Yep.
They still get mailed out.
Right.
It's just what we have to, what you have to. approve and what you have to-
2,000 and above.
Right. Yeah, so this kind of gets us onto a better schedule.
We get information on all the claims.
Right,
Anything 2,000 and above has to be published.
correct.
That's just once a month that we publish that. It's not.
No, it will be included with each board meeting,
Packet.
all the minutes. Then we have to come up with how we're going to have you review the claims that it, like, the license center sometimes processes claims because we need to have that paid. And also figuring out what's actually defined as a vendor payment, because like Soil and Water, we're their fiscal agent, so we print checks for them.
Yep.
That's not a vendor payment for us. So we don't need to include those in the list that you approve. And the
Okay.
claims that you approve.
All right.
So we have some, well, like I said.
Yeah.
We need some
Okay.
sorting to
Tune it up.
tune it up. Mhm.
Okay,
But I said this would be completed by December 31st of 2024, so we should be good by then.
Hopefully
Having-
we're on track there.
We're on track.
Okay.
Mhm,
Thank you, Carol.
mhm.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, those of approve signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Payments approved. Action item number 6, assign Rachel Meyer to lead jailer dispatcher at a C43 effective 4/07.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you know, the position of jail administrator is currently vacant, and the sheriff and his staff are pursuing options regarding the jail. We also have a statutory mandate that requires that we have a named jail administrator. And so it is our respectful request during this time period that we appoint an interim while we're determining what the future of the jail looks like. Ms. Meyer has agreed and verified her agreement to accept that appointment this morning.
So this latest email from the union rep said
It does not apply. This is up to Ms. Meyer whether she wants to accept the appointment or not.
and she's verified.
I
and
communicated
ready.
with it this morning, this 15 minutes ago. Yes, she'll take the position.
Okay,
with what stipulation? I mean, we were going through his draft and then our draft.
We have no agreement as to the union's requested stipulations. This position is clearly covered by the MAPE terms and conditions of appointment. The MAPE contract covers all of our supervisor positions as set forth by the Bureau of Mediation Services. And I've emailed that back to the unit. This is a work out of unit that we have done this in the past. This hasn't been an issue. So that is where we're at. I think the statutory requirement that we do this, we need to act in a manner that is responsible. The employee is willing to do this. MAPE is not requiring an MOA with regards to the temporary nature of their position. They understand that at some point there'll be determination to do a competitive search, like I said, based on what you determine at a later date.
so Rachel is aware of the fact that she will no longer be in the LES union and she will be in the MAPE.
I don't know that she is full. I don't know if she realizes that this is a temporary step out of her union, her current union or not. However, she has been apprised of all of the issues that are surrounding this. It's, we have no control at this point, which union. We can't,
No, I know that, but does she understand that? Was she made aware of this when she was offered the position?
I did not directly tell her that it'd be changing unions. You're asking that. I did not directly tell her that. Yeah, didn't tell her that at all.
It's reasonable to presume that she is aware that this is a supervisory position she's taking on.
Right, but does she know that that she will no longer be in the LES and that she'll be in the MAPE? I mean, I would think that would be an important fact that person
That's-
would want to know.
I guess I didn't
This
tell
is
her, and she
just a-
didn't ask, so.
Yeah, and this is just a temporary assignment. This is not a permanent assignment
I
changing.
get that.
So, that's not a discussion, as management, we normally have with the employee as to which union they may or may not wish to belong to. That's between them and their union representative that they currently have. If she had other questions, I presume she'd reach out to me. But, I don't know what conversation she's had with her LALS business representative. But at this point, she has, as of, they have communicated back and forth several times, I understand, and at this point, she has is very interested in being appointed the interim jail administrator.
So it's temporary, but it's up to a year,
Well, it depends upon what all you might.
depending on what happens. So, but it's not to exceed a year, but from a temporary point of view, her benefits that she's going to accrue instead of MAPE, or instead of, which is which? LELS will be MAPE. Or vice versa. But when she goes, if she goes back to the lead jailer's position, well, what she accrued at the one union transfer to the other, or is she gonna have a little tiny bit over here and the rest of it over here?
I don't know if there's any difference in benefits, I guess.
No, I mean, her benefits, what her sick leave accruals, her vacation accruals will continue.
It's not retire.
Oh,
There's
then,
only 1 year in that union,
yeah, it's the same pair retirement, jail administrator and.
okay, so she doesn't lose anything over here. You have to work for a certain period of time in order to be fully
She's,
vested in the union.
she's still in
The retirement's the same.
Yeah, it's the same
the
retirement.
corrections,
Same
the
retirement.
corrections plan.
Right, so she doesn't switch any type of payroll.
So if we hire somebody as a deputy in that union and they stay for 1 year, are they fully vested?
I believe they have to, the vesting period for the corrections. It might be 3 years. I'd have to look on the para website.
So the only question I have is, by switching unions, and she's only in this union for a year. I know it's PERA. But is it treated separately?
No, it's exactly the same.
Exactly the same PERA.
It's the correctional plan, and it doesn't matter which union you're in.
She isn't gonna lose a year of coverage.
That's what I was
what
saying,
it
it's the
is.
correctional plan. And the one thing I do want you to look at closely is that she doesn't lose her credits towards if, so
It's
say,
not restoring, it's maintaining what she's accrued
Yeah.
so far
so
in the LES.
because she's due a step come July.
Yep.
And say in August, she goes back to this unit. It would be appropriate for her to go back as if she hadn't left and have that
Step.
have that step in place, hence the nature of the.
So if you read the email that was sent at 8:46 this morning
She forward.
By,
from Rick,
yes,
he's asked for an attorney here to provide some guidance, and that may not come until next week.
yes, well, at this time, I believe their contract that you have with the unit provides for and I can pull it up, I think it's Article 4, employer rights clearly provides, unequivocally provides that through the board, through the sheriff, has the absolute authority to assign the operations and manage the workforce. At this time, in the email I sent to Rick, or to their business manager, Rick, as well as to the commissioners, that this position, it's not the person, it's the position that is identified by the Bureau of Mediation Services when they determined that who is covered by the MAPE unit. They put all supervisory positions. Emphasis on the word all, not some, not a temporary, not permanent, not regular, all. That Bureau of Mediation Services order, it's an order to the county. We can't usurp their authority. It tells us this position is currently, as it stands through the BMS, belongs in the MAPE unit. Now, the person, not the position, the person may or may not be down the road in the MAPE unit. Temporarily, the position, though, she's occupying a position that is in the MAPE unit. I would highly recommend against getting in the middle of two unions claiming positions, especially since we do have a BMS order stating in the recognition clause of the MAPE agreement, just as we have a recognition clause in law enforcement services, Unit 60, jailers and dispatchers, describing which positions are in their unit. This position is not described in there, and I don't, and this is my opinion, I don't believe the county through an MOA can enter and negotiate and change the nature of which positions belong in any particular unit. If the unions want to fight over a position, there is a process for doing so, and it's through the Bureau of Mediation Services, not through an MOA commit. And I believe would be in a labor violation if we went down that road. So I just respectfully request, because we need to move forward with the operations of the jail in a timely manner that is in compliance with the statute, that the board consider this request.
So earlier in the conversation, there was talk about overtime pay, and it was determined that this position does not qualify for overtime pay.
Correct, Commissioner.
And so that's been shared with Rachel, that she knows that.
Correct.
Correct.
And she has accepted those terms. We will put in.
Correct.
So any additional overtime will have to be picked up by other jailers.
Well, as an exempt position, this, like all exempt positions, there is no overtime, so.
No, for this one, yeah.
If she had to fill in for somebody at somebody else, if somebody's called in sick, somebody else would have to work overtime. Okay, someone would have to no matter what.
We are not suggesting that this position be a circumvent the LLS contract by having a MAPE person fill in, perform on any kind of regular basis or irregular basis their positions. Certainly, that doesn't preclude if you had an emergency and something were happening in the jail, that she wouldn't be able to go back there and assist in some kind of I assume that a lot of different folks from different areas would be going back and assisting.
How are you backfilling her position? Part-time or?
She's actually gonna stay in her position. She's just taking on duties. She's not
She's
going-
not-
not taking the jail administrator hours, because we don't have the employee staff to be able to do that. So she's keeping her regular hours she normally works, taking on these duties also.
She'll be working her normal shift as a.
And she-
As a sergeant at, yeah, doing two things.
So how is that gonna
That's
work
my
if she's,
understanding.
What was that?
yeah, so if she's still continuing her lead jailer position.
Mm.
But she's a jail administrator. How the hell, you can't, how is it, you can't do that? Can you?
No, that would cause a conflict if that is what is,
I mean, I think that's what the union guy is getting at here, isn't he?
that would be likely what he's getting at. So, no, we would have to fill some other way.
I don't have staffing level. And she understood that too, I guess, wasn't communicated very well. I don't have the staff to switch someone in his position. I have the staff to absorb stuff and make them work. And give them more duties, but I do not have staff to move someone in somebody else's position and then backfill hers.
Well, we're in a position, while we're working with DOC to go
See-
forward.
Go ahead.
Can I go forward?
Yeah.
To go forward with the juvenile setup that we're working on, and that's where we need the administrator to continue that process. And that has started with your work, right?
Right.
And so in order to get this project done, it's imperative that we have somebody in that position. Correct? Very much.
But we as a board haven't approved to go. To do the juvenile housing.
No, we have not, but we're still in the process, and in order to get that process finalized, I think we need to have somebody that's able to do that work. And she would be filling in that position as needed.
And I guess maybe it'd be a discussion later, because the jail administrator is always filled in and helped out in the jail. So maybe that's a discussion, it's always been going on. That the jail administrator has helped fill in. When staff has been not available.
It has been my understanding, that the primary duties of this position are going to be the jail administrator. Not take on jail administrator on top of.
See, this is my concern is what if Rachel knows this. Of what union what her description is, and what her duties are, and what union she will be in.
My recommendation is that we look for, and leave this up to the sheriff as to whether you want this on the table today or not. But that we look for other staff to assist with, to do those other, which is where I thought we were, to do those jail,
And-
primarily the jail duties.
And realistically, the jail inmate level is so low. That she can do the jail administrator job probably a good percentage of the time. And not be interrupted with. the Jail.
No, I get
day-to-day
that.
Duties.
I get that, but I mean.
It-
There's crossover conflict going on, and I think this is what. Is the issue here.
And I guess the real issue is it's been going on. For 30 years. The jail administrator is always filled in the jail.
As needed.
Yes.
As
needed, correct.
So occasionally. What you're saying is jail administrator. But having a full-time position as a jailer. Not as needed. She's gonna be a jailer and do part-time administration. Right? She's maintaining her schedule as a jailer
Correct.
and doing.
That's the way.
administration things on the side. We
Uh,
either have an administrator or we have a jailer.
Right.
We,
I don't have the staff.
I understand you don't have the staff. We should get a staff in order to make that work because.
And the thing is
what
that
you're saying there, as far as bouncing back and forth isn't going.
I mean, ever since last year and they went down the half position, Ben Novak's position. And I took the advice of Dean at that time. Ever since then, both Dean and Mark Olson has filled in the jailer dispatch.
If somebody's missing.
I guess, Mark, you want to comment on that? I guess, is it when someone's missing or kind of, was that kind of a regular basis, I thought?
The most time was when we hired the last two staff. And, they were in training, weren't able to fulfill regular shift at that time, so.
And now they're able to because they're fully trained.
One is fully trained, the other one is, in the middle of finishing up his dispatch training.
So in your position, Mark, can you get overtime?
No,
You're exempt to.
correct.
Well, I think we need to go forward with this interim administrator to continue the process of working with DOC to see if that sometime this juvenile thing will work or not. We're still gathering information, we've got the policy in their hands, we've got things happening. Without that position being filled, it's more difficult to handle this time for the sheriff and the staff. We're getting into discussion about the unions and all this, which.
Well, that's our discussion. Our discussion really doesn't pertain to the juvenile part of it.
No.
The discussion is about this position and the two union part of it, but to reuse the reason that we need to move forward with this no matter what, because of the juvenile thing, that's concerning to me because, okay, it sounds like we're trying to get all the ducks in a row to do it. To go forward with the housing of juveniles, and then it's gonna come to us and say, okay, here's what we've done, this is what we're doing. You guys need to sign off on.
No, we're not at that point. We're still in the getting the information together for DOC. We don't have all the answers yet. We don't know what they are going to require, but I think we're at a point that we need the administrator. I think we got off on a tangent.
Well, we need it statutory, yeah, we need to.
So we're at that point.
To fulfill statutes.
We need an administrator, but we don't need an administrator. But we shouldn't have an administrator who is actually a jailer. That's what I'm understanding. She's gonna be a jailer and she'll do some administration. We either have an administrator and we get another jailer, or we have a jailer and we don't have a student because
Sure.
we're trying to meld the two union jobs together and make it fit for the time being. And
Right, that's all I had to go with it. I mean, realistically, if we're going to have her do a jail administrator job, I mean, I could possibly talk to, you just made Patty Crawl a 6 to 7 day employee. We talked to her, the other part timer about filling, backfilling those positions.
Didn't Ben move up the ladder some too?
Then when he was 0.55, then he temporarily went up to full time, I believe, but then he was going back down to 0.55. But Ben really,
He's
that was
down to 1 point.
What?
He's going back to halftime?
correct.
When?
I don't remember the exact date.
is that by
Right.
choice? Is that by
I thought I
choice?
just read that he was going.
He was full-time to fill in, and to help fill in, then he's gonna go back to 0.55 because he also farms.
March 31st.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, he wants
to.
We'll have to get more involved.
Yes, I mean, I would say that he'd work more if he could. So,
So in addition, you're short from that, because you moved him up to help fill the vacancy from when
the current jail administrator that's no longer there.
Correct, they'll be moving to a full-time position.
So you're still short-staffed. Period.
Yes, I mean, in Ben, if, I mean,
So jockeying this, you know, between the unions is not a good. So either we need to,
I think
the
we need,
staff to cover it, or like Greg said, you know,
I guess it'd be up to, if I could talk this to two part-timers and see if they'd be willing to work more hours.
because bottom line is you still have a jail that's open.
Right.
So you have to do your statutory requirement. Plus look at your staffing needs, and
I think we should recommend to table this until this gets straightened out.
May I make a comment? The determination for which unit a position is in is based on the majority of the work that is performed by the individual for that particular unit. We don't have split positions. The clarification and that the sheriff just made, it was my understanding the primary duties here, the majority of the work was going to be administrative work. We do have other options.
When did you made that clarification?
That'd be June.
Majority jail administrator?
Just
He should taking on, should be taking on majority of the jail administrative duties.
which would have to be the majority of the job. I mean, that was,
Because
In order
we
for
heard
it
the
to be-
opposite, that he was gonna still be lead jailer and then a little bit of jail
and I was
administrator.
clarifying that that cannot be if you're doing. And that's why I was clarifying that this is either we don't have, according to the statute, we have to have a jail
Yeah, I
administrator.
took the-
That means our current position of jail administrator is a full-time job. It hasn't been reduced to anything less. That full-time job does have the potential, because they have the jail background, to go into the jail on an emergency basis, which is where I thought we had left this, apparently not. The options we would have moving forward on being short jail staff, which we have been short jail staff for a considerable period of time because of the unknowns after the Winona contract expired. We would have to pursue, if the board were to agree to appoint a jail administrator today, we would have to pursue backfilling those jail administrator duties in some other manner,
lead jailer duties.
or lead jailer duties, excuse me. Thank you. In some other manner. That doesn't exclude the jail administrator from helping out, but it cannot be the primary focus of that position. Now, if the sheriff wants to go back and revisit that, that would be appropriate. I don't know if you do or if you want to move forward.
I guess I'm asking to move forward with it. I mean, Rachel's been with it. And realistically, she's doing the work right now. If it kicks the can down the road, she's losing out, I guess. She's still doing the work, but not getting paid for it.
I'm fine with moving Rachel to the jail administrator.
And
I'm not fine with saying, well, she's gonna do jailer duties as well.
Regular.
sure,
She's either the administrator or she's the jailer. She can be the administrator and help on occasion, not all the time. So if you can go back to your part-time people and see if they'll pick up extra hours or get somebody, you know, somehow to expand the staffing to cover the hours that she's giving up. Then it makes sense.
and both part-time people are very willing to help out.
Right.
So I don't see a problem with that before asking them.
So when we say those part-time people, they're 67-day people.
No, it's the 167 day, and then Ben was appointed by.
Can the 67 become full-time? Or is there a problem with that?
She's currently working another part-time job, but
Doesn't want to go.
no, I can't say that. She maybe would, but
We got a lot
And that-
of questions here.
And that I presume would require an MOA with the unit if it's on a temporary basis. We still have the pickle, if you will, of having the statutory mandate of having an administrator.
Well, we've been in that pickle for a little while already. Would another 2 weeks be an issue?
Only she's like.
Because she's not getting paid. I guess that's my hang up, I guess, right now.
I think we need to,
What the attorney's letter that you got this, email that you got this morning was about.
that was just the union rep.
Union rep, yeah.
It says that
Did you get, you did.
Must be renegotiation.
it was sent to the personnel committee here.
I don't have a problem with appointing Rachel either, but the problem is the confusion here. And there's been questions raised by the union, and so I think we should get our ducks in a row here and make sure where everybody's understanding what's doing, who's doing what. And everybody's on the same page and in agreement.
I think the confusion came up when that one statement that she'll fill in as in the jail yet. And I think if we didn't hear that, we would have
I'll
gone.
be truthful to you, so,
Yeah, no,
I understand. It's just.
right,
That's
and so like I've said before, I don't see the job for many, many years, the jail administrator filling, helping out, doing the work. I didn't see that
it's,
that way. She's put a temporary time, I guess.
over the 30 years or however long
Yeah.
we're talking about. It's filling on occasion.
Right, because you have more full staff. You get a short staff right now, so you're basically trying to do
Right,
both positions with one person. I understand what you're trying to do. but
right. And it has happened in the past though too. We lose people. The jail administrators had to fill in for a time period till we get things worked out. But
Either way, we
you're
don't-
saying that it's not possible. Work around it.
should move her up to administrator and then hire somebody.
That's what they should.
Well,
So like if they would move this Rachel up to administrator, would we hire somebody to fill into her job?
Yeah, it's, I was just talking about backfilling with the part-timers.
Would that work? They moved her.
As long
up?
as they're accepting to it. Yes.
Looking for another part-timer or
The,
another.
the tough part about finding another part-time, then you gotta train them.
Gonna happen anyways.
But you're taking two full-time positions and trying to roll down one and then cover it with some very limited part-time. And then have that full-time person that you moved into the other position also cover that, and that's where the thing.
And I think the jail has been short-staffed for a period of time. And the challenge is obviously the fluctuation. The fluctuation in,
I disagree that it's been short staffed because I remember Dean said that they were at the staff level they need to be when Winona contract went away.
I disagree and say that we were at the staffing level that the minimum that we could get by with.
Right.
And then as soon as you needed to train in new staff or we had people out on leave for medical reasons or family reasons, then we were not adequately staffed.
I think he was looking at the budget and trying to save the budget as much as he can. I think that's what he was doing,
it worked until somebody needed to go on leave,
which is quite regular.
which people need to be able to take their vacations and use sick leave.
Well, the administrator part being required, I think we need to go forward with that. I think the staffing part, we should come back at a later date. So with that information, I move that we approve the interim promotion of Rachel to jail administrator.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Is there a second to Commissioner Severson's motion to appoint Rachel Meyer as jail administrator? Is there a second? Motion fails for the lack of second. Guess you'll have to come back.
So can I ask a question? Can we approve the search for,
That's not on the agenda.
I know that, that's why I'm asking the
In
question.
the future,
That'll
can't
be
do it
2 weeks.
today.
Can't, it'll be 2 weeks before we can do that. Okay.
Guess if you need staffing to replace the vacancy of Rachel, maybe that should be on the future agendas too, is that look at your schedule closer? I guess that was probably the reason why we didn't get a second, I mean, but we need to go forward with the administrator eventually. We need to make sure we cover it without messing up with the union folks.
Nothing against Rachel.
No, there isn't. It's
No.
not that.
I hear you. I guess I need that going part-timers would have been sufficient, I guess.
Well, should we table this? till-
Well, it's
Well, it's done.
motion failed, so it failed. It didn't fail, it just failed the lack of a second.
Okay.
So commissioners, we'll put this on the agenda for 2 weeks from now. In the meantime, we will work to clarify some of the backfill. And we may or may not be requesting another search for a regular employee. at that point.
Very good.
We have to
Make sure
analyze it all.
Union, you're okay with?
What makes that difficult is this is only an interim appointment. You know, but we can do the search simultaneously. If we don't need a full time to do that appointment at a later date, we don't have to make it.
And it's realistic that looking for the person hired, it's unrealistic because the time it's gonna take to train, that interim position might be over by that. So.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't know what's gonna happen. It's the interim position that could turn into a permanent position. Well, it's half board, it's half.
Thank you.
Well, if we get the.
Thanks.
we Get the okay for the juvenile, then we'll need it.
All right, moving on to discussion items. I noticed there's 429-2590 on the screen. Can you identify yourself just so we can have you on record? That number looks familiar, right?
Cell number.
429-2590.
Did I call him?
Yeah, call him, see what he's doing.
All right, well, we'll move on to discussion items, board updates. We have a extension meeting this Thursday night. Greg? That's the extension office. There. Yep. Also have a water plan meeting in the morning. Last Friday, I attended a Zoom meeting on the Office of Cannabis, held their first advisory board that they created. It was basically a set up meeting for getting officers elected and who's doing what, and so. Major, I don't know if anybody else attended that, but major part of that discussion was getting organized, an organizational meeting. The only tidbit that I got for coming up is that they are considering doing a lottery for pre-registering for licenses for social equity applicants. But they still have to go through approval of local control and ordinances too, so. That's what they're working, and they're trying to clarify the medical and recreational part too. That's gonna be confusing. So they're trying to work through that too, but. So I didn't learn a whole lot of new stuff, just that they are going to do a early lottery for businesses to get a license. A preliminary license to retail cannabis stores. We'll have to keep working on getting something together there. They're also working on trying to come up with a template for local counties for ordinances, with something we can kind of go by. But they haven't come up with anything solid yet, so.
So when you say ordinance, so we can go by talking zoning.
For zoning, yep.
Is AMC working with this group to give us some guidance too from their point of view, or is
Well, there's-
this gonna be cannabis?
There's
St. Johnson.
this office is working with AMC, communicating with them. There is a person who is on the board who's from Olmsted County that's there on behalf of the county situation, county representation. So I don't know, John, did you listen to that or?
I did not listen to the meeting, but I have kept up with this. One question I have is, did they say that the lottery for early applicants for licensure under social equity, did that pass the legislature? Because that was part of their legislative platform that they were bringing. I wasn't aware that it had passed yet.
It hadn't passed yet, but this is what they've been communicating with the legislature on that. And so, you're right, it hasn't passed yet, so.
Yeah, I've been
What is that?
attention to that, and it from my initial look at it, it seems like it doesn't have the same kind of traction that the whole big bill had last year. But I don't know. I had not heard that it passed, and so
No.
I'm seeing it hasn't.
I think they're lobbying for that. the way
Right.
It sounds to me, so.
So what does an interim licensing mean? I mean, is this, people can put in there and it's a lottery, so if you got 10,000 people that apply, did they say how many get awarded? And when they get awarded, does that mean they can start
No,
data that's approved?
no, they can't start, they just have pre-approved registration to do a
So
business,
as
but
soon
it
as it's
can't,
legal,
soon as it's in 2025, when they have everything in place, then they can start, but this gives them a leg up to get financing, to get a building and a business plan and all that stuff, so. That's why they wanted to do it, right, John? Am I wrong in that?
That's as I understand it, is that in order to stand up a business like this, if you're going to a bank and you're saying, I'm gonna open this dispensary, but you don't have a license to do it yet, it's kind of chicken and egg things. So I think that's the intent behind it. Yeah. And I'm not sure if it would apply to being able to have a license granted prior to 2025 or not.
I don't think, the way it sounded, that wasn't, they would just have a pre-approved one. So when the date is that they can go, they can go.
But they could line up financing and things like
Yeah.
that, provisional license. You were correct also that it still would be subject to local ordinances.
Correct. That they assured that was not gonna change.
Right.
so on the lottery basis, if there's 10,000 applicants and the vast majority are out of the metro. The 5 or 6 or 8 or whatever in Houston County might not any of them get to.
I don't know how.
That's
Some of it is dependent on,
Meet social equity requirements, I'm sure.
right, did they talk about the definition of, how they would define a social equity applicant?
Did they talk about that?
Yeah, did they define that?
They did. It's from previous convictions and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that and, you know, person like,
Can of worms.
yeah, it's, I don't want to say, get into it too deep, but yeah. It involves with that kind of stuff.
Okay, I've been looking for where the criteria is to try and determine how many we would potentially have that would meet the social equity
And
criteria.
There's no way for us to know that. That would have to be filtered through the cannabis office and how they determine that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Last week too, after our meeting last week, we met with Richard Cordes from the Historical Society and toured the old jail facility, the historic jail facility. And looked it over and had some discussions and we need to have more discussions on that, on what he'd like to get a commitment from us on what we would consider doing for him to go to the board to see if they would take it over. So discussion comes to money, but I don't know, Bob, you want to talk about that or?
Oh, you're doing fine.
We got an insurance policy from when that facility was flooded from a broken burst pipe, which we used to mitigate and clean up the damage from that and removed a lot of the flooring and walls and stuff such. But we still have a balance of $736,000 from that insurance claim, and they're considering that if we were to, for the Historical Society to take it over, that they would like to get that money to take it over. And so I said, well, that'll have to be a board discussion and we can't say nothing right then and there, but so that's where we're at. We need to have a discussion on that. And go from there.
You wanna have it now or next week?
Can't finalize the discussion now.
No. So I think we should have that discussion next week at workshop. Discuss it more and then we could come with something on the agenda if we feel that we need to go that far.
We give the Historical Society that money plus what they've got that they can use to offset as grant applications, their share of the grant, if it's a 50-50 participation or whatever. But as far as making it feasible for the historical.
I think we should get an estimate on what it would take to tear it down and then we could give them that much money.
Yeah, I don't think I like that.
Well,
Well, what do you want to give them 700 or 350?
well, that was kind of what the reasoning was, is that it is gonna cost the county if we were to raise the building. And so it would be, we'd have to take that in consideration, what it would cost Mont County to do that versus letting the Historical Society take it over and them to improve it and make it into whatever they want to, whether it be storage or museums.
I think we need to have that discussion next week.
That's all I got. Greg, you got anything?
Oh, we got an EDA meeting tomorrow morning at 8:05.
No, that's right, yep.
And we got extension meeting Thursday night. Outside of that. Nothing too much. Few complaints and nothing else.
For EDA, if there's anybody looking for a building for construction in the La Crescent area, there is a facility available that moved out. It has, I would say, I'll get more information and try and relay it to you folks, but it's down in the industrial park and has crane and so on. So I'll try and get more information.
Okay. Bob.
Got land use next Tuesday, and then I was at 2 different events in the last 2 weeks. Where one in Brownsville area and one in the Polk area, where it seems to be pretty hot topic with the things that MnDOT has going on in Caledonia, Polka, and Brownsville, and with the roundabouts and the rumors and the lack of them knowing and thinking. And when we had that presentation, it sure would be nice to make sure that we do get people a little bit the opportunity to be more informed. So they're definitely some people worked up over.
Well,
As one of them put it, the lack of the state listening to the local people. And it was rubbed in my face over the speed limit reduction or increase and not reduction in Oka when the first 1.5 inch of slush we got, they took out over 60 yards of guardrails. But speed didn't have anything to do with states. But anyways, people are definitely wanting more information and whatever we can do.
Well, they are having a public comment period on these projects too. So. But the speed one, there's no
rhyme or reason.
Yeah, no input there. So
Yeah, I heard a lot about roundabouts too.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mr. Burns will get some of that as well. Yes, that's all I've got.
Well, that reminds me that when you brought that up, I did get a call from Brian, the engineer. He had met with La Crescent City. And they would like to come to a board meeting to discuss what we discussed at our last workshop meeting about the plans for the bike lanes on County 3 there, the intersection, County 6, sorry, and the intersection and stuff. So I said, we're welcome to have it. They could come and invite and talk about it and discuss it and go from there. But so that might be coming up here at the end of the month.
So what do you hear in La Crescent Dewey about that?
I haven't heard too much except from the local people. I haven't talked to the representatives, the councilmen or not, but people think it's crazy to narrow the streets. And the parking has not been an issue. Of course, I haven't gone knocking on doors, but there's a 8-plex and a 3-plex, and they're all parking off street right now. So on the other side of the street, north side of the street, everybody's got their garages in the alley. So it has not been brought to my attention. The ones who I've talked to say it's shouldn't happen, but
Right.
that's the constituents, not the representatives
Yep.
and such.
Yep. Bob Burns, Commissioner Burns, what do you got?
All right. Let's see. Last week, I had a community meeting on the table with regard to community needs as far as mental health, schools, elderly health, different things as far as community needs. No decisions. It was just a discussion of community needs. Then I had a board meeting for a planning meeting and a board meeting for Hiawatha Valley Health last night. And how they're doing in the growth, different things that are going on, different funding avenues that they're trying to get from the state and expansion. Just a lot of things going on there. I have an opioid board meeting this afternoon, 3:00. An opiate, it's not a board, it's a meeting about opiate settlement monies. Couple of questions. As far as the roundabouts. Talk to the chief from Caledonia. He's gonna give me a study of the actual accidents in the last 5 years, of that intersection. And the cause. So those things happen because people coming down Kingston in the wintertime slide up into the intersection. That is gonna change. The city of Caledonia council meeting next Monday on the 8th. DOT is gonna be down with the new engineer that took the other guy's place to discuss the roundabout. It is not a public hearing with regard to the need or the reasons or whatnot. He's just gonna come and explain it to the board. Cause the last time that DOT was there was when the city council did not have a forum. There was only 2 people. Oh, and so that was the guy that left to go to the cities. Now this is the new guy who's thrown into the works. I haven't run into anybody that thinks the roundabout is a good idea. So that's to be seen, but I am also going to raise the question about the speed limit through Caledonia. When you drive on the different highways, if you're taking 52 and you're going through Harmony, it's 30 miles an hour. If you're going through Preston, it's 40 miles an hour. If you're going through Fountain, it's 40 miles an hour. So we should be able to get down to 40 instead of 45 coming through Caledonia. It's 40 going through La Crescent. Not that anybody goes 40, but it was me. I'd get the ticket. What's her name would be looking. That's the way of things. As far as the La Crescent bass tournament issue in West Channel, I've got the schedule for April and May of the bass tournaments. There's some 30 boat tournaments or some 100 boat tournaments. I'm gonna go to one of the 100 boat tournaments. I'm not gonna tell them which one. So they don't tell all their boats to slow down. But I'm trying to find a speed gun that tells me how fast those boats are going. And then I gotta get my telephone back from Andy because I can video. I can't video with this thing and then transfer it to you. But with that phone, I can video and then
You can get speed too.
Andy didn't think I could.
Really? But you could get an app.
And now you're talking to me and apps. If I can make it video, that's all I need to do. So that's coming up. Be one of the 100 boats. Not telling them much. As far as vehicles, we've got the prices for Equinoxes, state bid and Equinoxes coming through a local dealer. Virtually the same. The local dealer is almost identical. But you do get a couple oil changes and tire rotations, so it would actually be cheaper to go local. My concern is if we wait until September, with this boat incident out in Baltimore Harbor and vehicles that are on boats and the prices of cars gonna go up dramatically by the time we need to replace.
So we're buying foreign ones.
No, the Equinox.
They're made in,
Isn't everything for,
well, they're made in Michigan, aren't they?
what other parts all?
I
I
don't,
don't know if prices are gonna go, if somebody else's price goes up,
Components there.
it's an excuse to raise more money. I just a concern as far as what might happen. to the price. They're running in that 26 to 27,000.
so how many vehicles we looking to replace?
Well, there's 3 Jeeps that
That's
hit
when,
their age in September.
Okay.
So we wait till September and take our chances and see what the prices do. Are we gonna buy all new to replace them? We're gonna buy one new and used, slightly used, more used. Food for thought. I just have a concern about what's gonna happen to prices.
Well, we all,
well, that's, okay, we gotta have something. Yeah. Yeah. In my own preferential reasons, I think maybe like one new one and a couple used, I don't know, then have rotate or whatever. We can
to make the rotation. That's something that'll last you 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
3, 4 years, 4, 5 years. And rather than all at one time.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And that's what we did with Health and Human Service, which it makes sense. Carol, I do have one question. How long from a wheelage tax and a county sales tax? A wheelage tax, you have to have it decided by August in order to get it for next year,
By August first.
by August 1st.
So.
So from a revenue point of view, it would generate going to full $20 would generate an extra $200,000 towards the highway department, which would possibly could be used to improve or do more projects or reduce the levy and take place some of the levy. Same thing with the sales tax. If we decided to do a 0.5% sales tax, I mean, I talked to like Winona County and their 0.5% sales tax for highway, and they're looking at putting another percentage onto their sales tax to build this administration building for PD and sheriff's department. Wabashaw's got a sales tax for highway. Fillmore County's got a sales tax for highway. It'd be something to consider to help reduce the levy for other reasons that are upcoming. And how long does it take to set up a sales tax?
I don't know that there's, rates on that. I think we could probably have it effective like January 1st.
Right. But
If
you
we,
gotta get approval from the state and all that business, so there's,
But for a sales tax, we have to have that designated for a certain
Designated.
project, right? Or, like Winona County's doing it they did it for their jail. And they're considering doing it for this,
I
what
think
you,
it's here.
yep,
but does it have to be dedicated to a specific highway project or highway projects?
How about if I do some research for it?
Right. It's
Thank
just a question. For that. Okay. That's all I got. I'm sorry.
no, that's good.
Well, the thought process there.
Commissioner Severson.
Oh. With all that information, I don't have anything.
He wants to
It was a quiet week last week for me. I was on the road, so. Anyway, yep, that's it.
But what were you thinking, like a sales tax, 0.5% or?
Well,
Or what are these other counties doing?
I know Fillmore County's got a 0.5%. Winona County with a 0.5% on the jail, and they're just discussing what, if they want to add a percentage and what percentage it would be for the administration building. Because they haven't decided if it's a joint project with Winona City and Winona or just gonna be, they're in just conversations.
$10 a car would be 200,000.
$20.
Well,
Adding $10, because we're at $10.
so we'd be doubling
The
the
wheelage
wheelage
tax.
tax. Along with the higher tab fees and state just passed on and stuff such.
Any renewals.
Something for discussion.
Every time you get.
Every time you get tabs, whether you buy a new one or you're putting tabs on an old one. It's $10 now, it would go to 20.
That's not all vehicles. Right?
Yeah, it's not trailers.
Well, motorized
The motorized.
cars and pickups.
And trucks.
Or any like farm trucks.
Nope. Anything else? Any closing public comment? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Yep.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, everybody.